Equine EncephaloMyelitis. Togaviridae is a single-strand RNA virus. It's enveloped, which means it has weak resistance. It is also an arbovirus, which means they use mosquitoes as biological vectors to transmit the virus. The virus is urixin, which means it infects many species. It has antigenetic subtypes because RNA has a high mutation rate. So Togaviridae has the alpha virus genus and the ruby virus genus. The alpha virus genus is the most important. It has the equine EncephaloMyelitis virus. This virus has the Eastern, Western, and Venezuelan subdivisions. This genus is the most zoonotic and it has notifiable diseases. For the occurrence, the viruses are only in America and they're named according to their geographical location. The Eastern type is found in Canada and the United States East Coast and Central America. The Western type is found on the west coast of the United States, Mexico, and South America. And the Venezuelan type is found in the southern United States and in South America. So for the etiology, you can have the Eastern, Western, or Venezuelan equine encephalitis virus, which is a part of the togavirus genus. For the epidemiology, they are urixin. Rodents and birds maintain the infection. The susceptible animals are horses, donkeys, mules, and humans. It's a zoonotic disease. It's an arbovirus, and mosquitoes are the biological vector. Specifically, the Asian tiger mosquito. It is a seasonal disease, and it's found in warm, humid weather, so in summer and in autumn. In the Eastern type, birds are the maintaining host. The virus is spread from birds to the horses by mosquitoes. There are no clinical signs in birds, but there's a long viremia. And migrating birds can spread the virus at very long distances. The Madriaga virus is an antigenetic subtype of the Eastern equine encephalitis virus. Horses and humans are dead-end hosts. This is because there isn't enough percentage of the virus within the blood for the mosquitoes to be able to transmit the virus from the humans and horses to other humans and horses. In the Western equine encephalitis virus, birds and rodents are the maintaining hosts, and it's spread by mosquitoes. It all depends whether the mosquito prefers to feed off mammals or birds, and horses and humans are the dead-end host. However, in the Venezuelan equine encephalitis virus, horses are the maintaining hosts. The virus is spread from horses to mosquitoes, then to other horses. The virus is also maintained by rodents, so it spreads from rodent to mosquito to rodent. In the case of the cycle with the horses, it's an epizootic cycle. This means there's a high outbreak of cases. In the case of the cycle with the rodents, it's an enzootic cycle. This means there's a low level of disease. In the Venezuelan subtype, the virus number is high enough that the mosquito can take it up from the blood. For the pathogenesis of the disease, the virus injects or inoculates the virus into the bloodstream, and then the primary replication happens in the regional lymph nodes. And then the first viremia takes place and it spreads to the visceral organs, and then it goes back to the blood, and then the second viremia takes place and it happens in the central nervous system. The second viremia happens after 2 to 5 days, so it's a short time period. For the clinical signs, it's age and dose dependent. The virus can cause an abortive or an apparent infection. The incubation period is 1 to 3 weeks. In a peracute infection, we can see high fever, over 41 degrees, and then sudden death. In an acute or subacute infection, we can see biphasic fever. So firstly, we see excitement. So encephalitis, you can usually see head pressing and paralysis. And for the myelitis, we can see lameness, incoordination, and ataxia. The virus can then cause anorexia and depression. In the chronic form, it's rare. The animal is usually lying on the ground, and in 1 to 2 weeks, they're dead. And the horses are often seen circling. The saying is that they're digging their own grave. Usually you have to euthanize before it gets to this point. The Venezuelan strain can also cause colic, diarrhea, and enteritis. The mortality is extremely high. In the Eastern version, the mortality can be up to 98%. In the Venezuelan version, the mortality can be up to 86%, and in the Western version, it's around 50%. Recovery can occur, but there's permanent central nervous system defects, such as movement problems and vision problems, but afterwards they have lifelong immunity. In the pathology, if we look at the histopathology, we can see on the central nervous system, we can see the grey and white matter has lymphocytic infiltration and has neutrophils. In the chronic form, we can see degeneration and reparation. For the diagnosis, follow the epidemiology, the clinical signs, post-mortem lesions, and histopathology. It's a notifiable disease, which means you need to do the etiological diagnosis. It's necessary. To detect the virus directly, you need to do a real-time PCR, immunohistochemistry, and IF. To detect the virus indirectly, you can do HIA to detect the antibodies quickly, or you can do viral neutralization to see which exact strain it is. You can get a sample from the blood and the brain. For the differential diagnosis, the infection can be rabies, rhinoceros, or any mosquito disease. For the treatment, there's none you can do. It's too late by the time the clinical signs show up. The best way to do is have prevention. And for the prevention, you need to have mosquito control. In endemic areas, there's an inactivated horse vaccine. It's a trivalent vaccine. It's given every year, especially before mosquito season. If there is an outbreak, you give a live attenuated vaccine, but only to stop the outbreak. In free countries, you have to quarantine and have serological testing. There is no vaccination in free countries. For the public health importance, it's a zoonotic disease. The mosquito is the source of the infection. In humans, there's a high mortality, and in pregnant women, they can get abortion, and the newborn babies can have newborn cerebral necrosis. Children have much more severe central nervous system symptoms, and the clinical signs decrease in humans after vaccination.